everyone, and welcome to the Abundology podcast. I'm here today to talk about horses. So this has been something I've been really interested in a long time. And I'm here with my friend, Sue Willoughby, who is a certified Equus coach. Yes, I know, Sue.
Good job, Renee.
Thank you. We were before the podcast. I was asking her, how do you pronounce these words? Is this not where equus and equine are not words that are, that we say every day, especially when we're not used to this. So thank you, Sue, so much for being here and telling us all about what you do with horses.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Renee. I absolutely have to tell you, I started listening to your podcast. It was referred to me by a friend, and I love it's like now part of my Sunday ritual where I get my little boost of, astrology and energy. And I try and pass that on to people in my awkward way, not knowing that much about astrology, but I can parrot stuff. Right. So, talking about the planets being in retrograde and all that stuff. So, so I appreciate you. And I love that little Sunday burst of happiness. So,
well, thank you. I appreciate that. So, all right. As you may know, I go to the fancy spa like once a year. It's my favorite thing to do. And one of the options there is horse therapy. And so I know don't really do horse therapy. You're more horse coaching, but we're in the same arena here.
Yeah.
So can you tell me just a little bit how coaching with horses is different than regular coaching?
Okay. Well, regular coaching or talk therapy, it's all a one-on-one conversation, right? And we all know that, we've all created stories that support us and that we live in and that we embody that have, and sometimes they rule our lives, right? Yeah. Well, those stories, when you're having a conversation like a talk coaching or a talk therapy, you can say whatever you want, right? And there's no, you can read someone's body language maybe, but you may not know. I mean, like, am I getting truth? Am I getting the essence of what is really going on with this person? Yes, you can. If you're a skillful coach or a therapist, yes, you can. When you throw a 1,200-pound animal of, a different species altogether, and that animal is a horse who, it's funny, everybody's like, oh my God, I'm so afraid of horses. Like, okay, well, I understand that. They're big, they're powerful. But the thing is, they're prey animals. So when you throw a 1,200-pound prey animal in the same environment with a person, the dynamic changes, the energy changes. Horses in the coaching realm act as a feedback loop because they are totally in the moment, right? Their only reason for being is like, every inch, every cell in their body is like, am I going to survive? How am I going to survive? What is that thing? What, is it a danger? Is it a threat? Is it whatever? We live up here.
Right.
It's hard for us to be in our bodies and not let our minds take over.
Yeah.
Horses are the opposite. They are constantly in their bodies, and their body language and their nonverbal communication with each other in a herd and with humans as well. We just need to know how to read that. So that was a really long answer. So the horse helps people get back into alignment with their head and their body and their heart. And the horse provides a nice feedback loop for me as well to, interact with my clients.
So I'm assuming if the horse is a little antsy or that gives you clues then about perhaps what the person is feeling.
Yes, it can. And it's really interesting because some people will automatically just start to project onto the horse what their insecurities are, or what, they're like, oh, the horse doesn't like me. The horse is doing this, the horse is doing that. And, so it's like, oh, okay. let's explore that a little bit. Let's talk a little bit more about what the horse is doing. So it's just interesting how, by me observing the horse's behavior. Now the thing is, people are like, if they're frightened, and they're trying to act like they're not frightened, the horse is going to be like, yeah, I'm going to be over here until you're ready to like be a little bit more congruent. And that is like, so I think in terms of where you're asking about if the horse is a little antsy, yeah, it's probably has something to do with what they're feeling from the person, what they're sensing from what's really inside and what's really going on with the person.
So I'm assuming then that they're very intuitive and sensitive animals.
Incredibly, right? Like, I mean, when you watch them, a tiny little fly will land on their butt and just those little cells will twitch to get the fly off. They're being prey animals. Their eyes are on the sides of their heads and their ears like work independently. So you may see a horse out in the pasture, 500 feet away, grazing. And once you hit their awareness zone, even their most outer awareness zone, they're going to turn an ear and listen and say, what is that? Right? What I sense something in my sphere. They're that sensitive, and they are intuitive. They have to survive, right? They have to know, is this a threat? Is it not a threat? And by doing that, they're, like I said, they're in their bodies. They're in the moment. They're constantly assessing and building awareness of their surroundings, which is something that we can really take a lesson in. Okay?
That is so true.
Reacting, right? Like, oh, you just jumping into somebody's face because they say something like, take a deep breath. Let's explore that a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so interesting because we as humans, one, we make shit up in our heads about what is happening.
Really?
And yeah, imagine that, huh? But I don't know if we're necessarily assessing all the time. One of the things I talk about with people, when they're like, I want to hear the messages from my spirit guides. I want to be in the flow. It's like, well, you got to pay attention.
Right.
We're on our phone all day or, all the billion things that we do to distract ourselves. So I would think that would be part of the beauty of being with the horses is really being in the moment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you're there and the horse is there. And, I've seen some really amazingly magical things happen. And it sounds a little cuckoo, but it really can be magical. And I've seen people walk into the round pen or the arena with a horse and just emotionally let go. They've just been holding on. And then the horse may come up to them and put their head on their shoulder or something. They are so sensitive and they are so intuitive and they just, they have come to trust us over the years of domestication. Approaching a wild horse is going to be a little bit different than approaching a domestic horse. You may get close, you may not. But that's because of their survival instincts. But, these animals let us climb on them and ride them around and, put saddles on them and put bits in their mouths. And, but we do have to have some sort of a partnership with them. And that's why the Equus coaching is so powerful. For that moment in time, you're feeling, they're feeling what you're feeling, and there's a nice exchange with that energy, right? Which allows people to get more grounded, start having personal awareness of their bodies. And I bring the body a lot into my coaching and say, how does that make you feel? And, the person may say, oh, angry or yeah, whatever. No. How does that make you feel? Where in your body are you feeling that? Because if you can start to tap into how your body feels and how your body is reacting, that's like the old term, right? The gut feeling.
Right.
Right. If we would listen to our guts or our hearts or our whatever a little bit more often, Yeah. Rather than just be like, no, that is something else. And, I'm does not compute. So the horses just really bring that out. And they're also fun and playful. And some people, you could just really kind of cut loose and get in touch with your inner child or whatever.
Yeah, I love that, because often we think of coaching sometimes in the therapy range. You know what I mean? Coaching and therapy, okay, maybe in the same field. Yeah. But to think of coaching that could be fun, that I'm out there with a horse and I'm outside in nature, or, at least that is super fun. I could see that. Also, the trusting ourselves. So we're talking about trusting our guts. Mm-hmm. We don't do that. Gut, intuition, same thing. Yeah. The horse is trusting us to get on it and climb on it. So talk about, freedom then, if the horse is trusting us, for us to be able to trust ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. When you're on a horse and you're sitting up there, and my horse is 16 hands, which is close to being 6 feet high off the ground. It's a long ways down. But you've got your hands on the reins and the bit is in their mouth. And if you're tense and nervous, the horse is going to feel that, because that energy travels down through the saddle and through the reins. It's the same thing if you're not on them and the horse is at liberty. And by at liberty, I mean, running around free, not with a halter and a lead rope, just being able to move and run around at liberty, free, which is the way we work with the horses. Occasionally we may do an exercise where we lead the horse if the person doesn't feel really comfortable, letting a 1,200-pound horse run around them, right? Or walk around them even. It can be a little intimidating. But horses have been used for therapy for a really long time. I also volunteer at a therapeutic riding center where people with physical disabilities and emotional disabilities, they're riding programs where it's that connection. It's that, there's been so many studies, and there's different groups that use horses in therapy. And I think that, I'm not sure which exactly, fancy spa you're talking about, but I have a pretty good idea. There's one down in Arizona, and the person that started that program, someone gave me the book, or had gone down there for a corporate retreat a long time ago. And the guy Wyatt, who started the therapy program down there, wrote a book called It's Not About the Horse. And it's really not about the horse. The horse is just being itself. Like, you may be in the middle of a session and the horse is going to drop down and roll on the ground, because that's what they're doing. They're just taking care of themselves. That's what they do. We don't do that.
Yeah.
So by just being around them, and, I've had a really long history with horses. My first ride was like at 5 years old or whatever, riding some crazy pony on a trail ride. And, I still remember, like, the pony just decided time to go, and cut off from the trail line and just headed back to the barn, and it was galloping as fast as its tiny little legs could take it. And I was like, wee, until I wasn't anymore. And I fell off in a big pile of horse poop. And of course, my mother was, mortified. And I'm like, yes, again,
That was the best thing ever.
Yes. Let's do more of that. Oh, yeah. So, it was, they've always had my heart. And, they've gotten me through some really tough points in my life too. So you may not always realize what the lesson is at the time that they're trying to teach you, but you're like, oh, got it. You get it afterwards.
Well, and often we don't know what we're feeling. We don't. I even have people that have said, I don't think I'm anxious. And they're like, so anxious. But if the horse is right there and the horse is anxious, like, that gives you a big clue.
The horse is like, oh, hell yeah, you're anxious.
Yeah, exactly. I'm anxious. I didn't know.
The thing is, they don't judge you. They don't care if you're anxious. They don't care if you're upset. They don't care if you're having a bad day. They do not care. The one thing that they do care about is that you're being honest.
Wow.
So if you say, I feel really nervous and anxious being in here with this horse, the horse is like, okay, cool. I got you. I got you.
Wow.
That doesn't bother me. I just need to know that you're aware of the fact that you are a nervous Nelly, right? So, and it's funny,
Yeah.
you can see the shift in the horse once the person settles in and says, yeah, I do feel a little nervous being in here. It's a lot, and the horse is like, yeah, it is a lot. It's a lot for me too. But they're not going to judge you. That's the beauty of them. They do not judge. I've
I
cried
love
many
that.
times into my horse's neck. It's like, they're like, it's okay.
I love that. I love that also because, any type of coaching or even going to the therapist that we've gone to, there's, as humans, we have that little bit of judgment. Like, I'm afraid to even say this, because I might be judged. But to
Yeah.
be able to fully be yourself without any judgment, oh my God, talk about freeing.
It is. It really is. And sometimes it takes people a little bit to, it's like you said, it's not the norm for us.
Right.
We assume that we are being judged at every turn
Yes.
because a lot of times we are,
Yes.
and we judge without realizing that we're judging. So having a creature near you that has absolutely no judgment, the horse is not sitting there going, oh my God, why did she wear that sweater? Are you kidding me? That shit just looks horrible on her. They don't do that. They don't. And they also don't hang on to stuff. Yes, horses can experience trauma, and many of them do at the hands of, unkind trainers or whatever. That has changed a lot in the past, number of years with, natural horsemanship and so forth. So yes, horses can experience trauma. Horses, like people, when they experience trauma, they shut down. Okay. And then, but they're more apt to shake it off and not hold on to it, in a way that is, going to interfere with them. Now, if they've been beaten over and over and over again, they're just going to be kind of not, they're not going to be in their bodies anymore. And that can happen. But generally speaking, they don't, if we have something happen, like somebody flips you off on the highway, right? And we're like, oh my God, you're telling everyone, this asshole flipped me off on the highway and I can't believe it. And la, la, la. And you're talking about that stuff for a month, right? Like, okay, wow, really? That affected you, I guess. The horse has a little freak out. They're walking along the trail and there's a paper bag or a plastic bag that gets caught on the limb of a tree because the wind is blowing. They freak out maybe a little bit, but they're like, oh my God, what is that? They figure out what it is. They go back to whatever they're doing. Okay. You'll see them in the pasture, right? They're grazing. They hear something, a truck backfires or whatever. Their head may come up, their ears are going to turn. And then they're like, am I going to die right this minute? I think I'm pretty safe. And then they'll go back to grazing. Okay.
Wow.
They don't then go to the water bucket and talk to their friend, Joe, the other horse, and be like, oh my God, that plastic bag just came out of nowhere. I thought that thing was just going to grab me by the neck. And, they don't hold on to that stuff. They go back to, but they're, like I said, they're very aware of their surroundings. So you can walk a horse into the barn and down the same aisle that they've walked down 100 times, and something may be different. And they're like, whoa, what's that? Like somebody moved a bucket or something. And you're like, oh, that's the same bucket that was over there yesterday. And then they're like, is it going to kill me? No. Okay, fine. But, I'm over dramatizing just a little bit, but you get the point. They assess, they react however they're going to react. Are they in danger? Which is usually what they're mostly concerned with. Am I in danger?
Yeah, man, there's so much we can learn from them.
Yes.
I honestly had no idea. Now, I think we've all seen those pictures where people are at the spa and they walk over and they lift the horse's hoof up. What is the purpose of that? What is
that is that's a really easy exercise that, that Wyatt does, or that his actually one of our Equus coaches works at one of those spas, not that one, but the other one. And so you can have 5 people. Let's say it's a corporate retreat. You've got the CEO, the CFO, the COO, the OOO, the whatever. And each person is going to go over there to the same horse and have the same activity. So one person may go over, gently greet the horse, reach down, the horse gives them their hoof. Someone else may go over and be like, "Well, that's easy. I can do that." The horse is like, "Okay, go for it." Right? It's all about the energy that you bring. It's how the horse is feeling. What are you bringing to that tiny little exercise? What are you bringing? Are you bringing bravado? Are you bringing like, "Well, this is a stupid exercise"? I mean, the horse is like, "Okay, go for it." And the horse will shift their weight and put all their weight on that foot and not pick it up. I've seen it happen, right? I'm sure you've seen it happen if you've been to one of those clinics. And it's really telling, because then you can say, "Well, what's going on there?" This 5 foot tall, 100-pound woman just went over and picked up the Clydesdale's foot and didn't have any problem. What's your problem?
Yeah. It's interesting that it's all about the energy. Clearly that's my thing.
Yeah.
And because we know we're attracting from our energy. What we are feeling and vibing is what we're attracting. And if you're not aware of what you're even feeling and vibing, then how do you even know what you're attracting? Well, clearly you can look in your environment in your life and see what you're attracting.
Or repelling.
Or repelling.
Or repelling.
Yeah, good point. Totally good point. But I love this, that it helps you get very, very clear about your vibe in that moment.
Yeah.
Which I don't know what there probably aren't 2 other many things that do that.
Yeah. And like I said, you have a living, breathing barometer, so to speak. You've got that right there giving you feedback, instant feedback. So it is really interesting, because I can use a horse for 2 different people or 3 different people. I usually don't like to do that many sessions on the same horse, because it's exhausting for them as well. And they will act completely differently with each person based on what their energy is, what they need, they know. I don't know how they know, but they know what every person needs. It's really stunning. So it's, yeah. And people are like, "Well, how can, they want me to explain it?" And it's not easy to explain. It's really very, and I use the word experiential a lot, because it is really very experiential. And you can just see a lot of times the shift when somebody is like, oh, and the change in the behavior of the horse. They're like, oh. And then, where does that show up for your life?
Right. And completely different from somebody telling you what
Mm-hmm.
that is versus you getting it on your own,
Exactly.
feeling it on your own. Yeah. So can you just briefly run us through what like a typical Equus coaching session would look like? Is it about an hour? Is that usual, or?
Yeah, no less than an hour,
Okay.
because sometimes it really does take some time to just sort of settle into it. And,
Yeah.
If it's a shorter or an individual session for, like, let's say an hour or a little bit over an hour to 2 hours, I usually like to start with a grounding exercise, have the person go into I will ask them to set an intention for the session. And a lot of times that intention will evolve or change. Like,
Yep.
Because like you said, you may not know. You may think, "Oh, I want to work on this thing." And in order to work on that thing, there's 10 other things in front of it that you need to work on. So setting an intention, doing some grounding, just so that you're have an awareness that you're actually in your body, that you're in a body, and that body is yours, and it is connected to your head, but your head does not control it. Right.
Yeah.
So just a grounding, a nice meditation grounding kind of a thing, and let them develop some level of comfort with the horse. Prior to having someone go in the arena, I do a safety demonstration. I also do a little demonstration on things that they can do once they're in the arena to interact with the horse. So just a basic like activity. Now, they don't have to do exactly what I did, But this is, this is how you move the horse around the arena, the engine's in the back, if you step too far forward and get too far in front of them, they're going to stop or turn, some basic things like that. And then a lot of times they don't have to, but I recommend that they work with what we call a long line. And it's basically just a soft, long, it's probably 20 feet long, coil of rope, or, whatever, padded rope, that they can use to extend their energy, to get bigger, to, help move the horse around. It's not, you're not whipping the horse, you're not it's just like, woo, you can toss it out, it's an extension of your energy. And then I let them play with the horse and just watch and be quiet.
Yeah.
And then after, a few minutes, if they feel like they're getting stuck or something's happening, and you can kind of tell they're like, I don't know what I'm doing, or am I doing it right? There is no right or wrong. First of all, you're not training the horse. You're not being graded, and you're not being judged. It's just do what feels comfortable for you. And then after a couple of minutes, I may say, so what's coming up for you? And typically by that point, after they've had some interaction with the horse, it's going to bring stuff up. Okay. Whatever it is that, if they're frustrated with a work thing or a partner or whatever, that frustration is going to come up, and it's going to come up with their interaction with the horse, because we tend to be sort of habitual creatures, I've found. And, one solution fits all. Well, if I do this, I'm going to get that result. Well, guess what? If you keep doing that same thing over and over again, you're not changing up and you're getting the same result, you might want to change something. But it's interesting, though, just to watch how people you can see, okay, something's going on there. So I just ask them to talk to me. What are they experiencing? What are they seeing in the horse? And that's a really great way. Then the conversation starts. Coaching is not about telling someone, well, okay, based on what happened in this session, you're going to need to do this. I ask them, what do you feel is, what's coming up for you? And then ask them where does that come? Where is it in your body? I mean, it's a lot of exploration. It's exploring the experience for them.
Well, and exploring the things that we really don't pay attention to in our modern life,
Mm-hmm.
Our feelings, our body, being present, all of that stuff. So such good practice. Wow.
It really is. And then I may say, okay, come on over for a minute. Let's just have a chat. And they're like, okay, good. It's like they feel like, and some people feel like they have to perform and, do the task right. And like, okay, well, why do you feel like you have to do the task right? And what is your definition of right? That's a whole nother thing that you can explore. So you don't want to bounce all over the place. You want to try and just fine tune the session to a place that they are one thing that is maybe it's a reoccurring thing. It's a limiting belief. It's such a great way to just start peeling back the layers, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So good.
Yeah.
When I'm in Seattle next time, you're in the Seattle area.
Yes.
Next time I'm in the North Pacific Northwest, I am definitely coming for this. Sounds amazing.
I would love that. That would be so fun.
So fun. You also have a retreat coming up soon. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I do. It's my first retreat of the new year. I'm very excited about it. It's called Authentic Empowerment. And it's based on sort of my crazy life journey where, I won't get into that. That's a whole nother podcast. But, we all are looking for those answers, right? We're looking for, we're taking this class or we're doing this thing or we're doing the thing. It's like, in The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy, you've always had the power to go home. It's always been in you. You have that power. How can you access it? How can you bring it out? Right. So that's what the retreat is about. And once again, the horses play a huge role in that. So It's called Authentic Empowerment. It's a very limited, 6 people. And it's a full day. We start at 9, we go to 5, we have a catered lunch. We hang out with the horses. We do quiet, reflective time with the horses. We do interactive exercises with the horses, one-on-one. And then everyone else gets to observe everyone else's session if they want to. I mean, they can go, hang out with a horse or whatever, but it's so beneficial in that group setting. I don't know if you've had any group retreats or anything.
Yep. You learn so much from other people.
Absolutely. Because somebody else is going through something very similar and it resonates with you.
Yep.
And it may resonate in a way that you had no idea it is. You're like, whoa, okay, that was powerful. So it's such a cool environment. And people walk away like, oh my God, that was amazing. So it's Saturday, February 25th from 9 to 5. And it's going to be, I partner with a rescue, and I think you're going to maybe include this in the show notes.
Yep.
It's an equine rescue called Care for Life, FUR. And so I use the rescue horses, which I love doing because, some of them may never be adopted. They're more, it's a sanctuary place for them. Some are adoptable, some may not. Maybe they're older, maybe they're, whatever. They have a lovely home there and it gives them a purpose. I mean, you should see some of them. They really perk up. They're like, I'm doing something cool today, you guys. They leave their pals in the pasture and they're like, I'm going to be a coach. So I love that about partnering with the horse rescue. So yeah, it's just fun. It's fun.
Totally fun. I wish I was closer. I do know you have people fly in for these one-day things, so that's super cool. So I will put a link to the nonprofit, to the retreat information, and then of course also your website, which is willoughbycoaching.com, in the show notes. And thank you so much. I've always been so interested in learning more about this, and now I can't wait.
I've got something for you. You're in Bozeman. There's lots of horses around there.
Yeah.
If you find a facility or we can talk about it, I can come out there and do a retreat there with you. And that would be super fun.
Oh, that sounds fabulous. Okay. I am putting that in my intentions now that we're going to do. So that in the next year or two, that will come to fruition. Just like that.
Yeah. Just like that. Let's manifest that.
Let's manifest that.
I just wanted to let people know that if you are interested in signing up, if you sign up before the 5th of February, I'm offering a $50 discount, which brings the price from $400 down to $350, which is a nice little savings.
Yeah, that's a great deal.
And then I'm also going to send you, Renee, I'm going to send you a coupon code that you can send out to your listeners for for a discount on any other coaching products.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate that.
A little thank you for having me on. And it's such a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Once again, Sue, thank you so much for being on here. Thanks everybody for listening. And we will talk to you again next time.
Thanks so much.